Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So we've got Marla Moss going to talk today about marketing. And you might have seen our other video. We touched on it a little bit just when we were talking about HIPAA and security and all that, because there are a lot of moving pieces here. And you know what? Here's the thing with marketing right now is that Facebook doesn't care about your business, and Google doesn't care about your business. They care about the top thing they care about is their user experience, and then they start looking at their income. So you're third on the priority list at best. Okay, so don't trust every option they put out there and think you can run it yourself and all this without at least extensive training. That's why some people specialize right in this niche of just being on that kind of front end for you, because there are a lot of ways to waste money on Facebook and Google. I've done it. I've probably put Zuckerberg's kids. I've at least gotten them a good set of braces at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna talk about some of this, just kind of things to look at, and you're gonna get a good perspective from somebody who is a systems thinker and understands the end-to-end component, which you need to. I've dealt with plenty of Facebook experts that their whole goal is to just generate leads, and they just want to see that one little component come up, and then they're happy and they feel like they did a good job, and they've generated the shittiest leads you could imagine that have there's no continuity of the people actually want what I have. The marketing message has been off, but they feel like if they get that one number, then they did a good job, and that's not going to fly. So, here I'm happy, right, to present. Here's Marla, and she's going to give us like kind of a marketing 101 breakdown, and you can start wherever you want.
Okay, great. So I did touch on this in our other video, but I'll kind of go through some common mistakes that people make, because I think that's a good starting point for people who may or
Perfect.
may not have already started, dipping their toes in the water for DIY marketing. The worst thing you can do is to boost a post. Okay, Facebook is always going to say, "Oh, do you want to boost this post? Do you want to boost this post? We can do this. We can reach 30 people for $600. Do you want to do it? No, you don't want to do it. Okay, there's like no targeting involved. At the most, they're probably just gonna show it to people who like your page, and what is that, like your mom, and whatever. It's not
And the 100 other acupuncturists that are in your
right,
network.
right. And me, I like your page too, and I'm not your customer, right? So don't boost a post. When you go into Ads Manager, if you are gonna do this yourself, don't use page likes as an audience either, for the reasons we just specified. It's common mistake for people to do that. You think, yeah, I think that's pretty clear why not to do that. Another common mistake is running an ad, and when someone clicks on the link, they just go to your website and there's no further instructions. You need a professional landing page, not Facebook lead pages, because that's not HIPAA compliant. You need an actual professional landing page, and it's got to give some more information about your practice. It helps to have a video in there. Video converts super, super well. Even if you're video shy, it's well worth your time. Nobody's going to be as critical of you as you are, how you look or how you talk on video. So get a video in there. In general, it's good to have some digital assets like videos for, whether it's video testimonials from your patients, and you introducing your practice and your space and what you do, and stuff like that. Just good assets to have. Other assets that are great to include either or also in your ads and your landing page is photos, treatment photos. A lot of people will think that a stock image is probably, oh great, if I pay extra money for a stock image, then more people will think my ad is legit. But most of the time, an organic image, something that you've actually just taken, like of your patients, performs better, because people want to be able to relate to you as a real person, and not just that they're being sold to. So, and
You know what? I'm just gonna jump in with one thing too. This is
yeah,
something I learned a while ago. Is that we have because I'm gonna forget this if I don't say it right now. But we have a trade-off to make between high fidelity, high quality, and connection. Right? So even right now, like we're doing a Skype interview. This is not professionally lit. Whatever. This isn't the Joe Rogan podcast, and like you've got all this stuff. We're on Skype. I got a headset, right? Like
yeah,
it's this kind of lo-fi thing, but that actually builds connection because the humans that you're marketing to use these same types of things to talk to their grandfather or their kids or whatever. Like this reminds us of our humanity, and it makes us know that the people on the other end of the screen are real people, right? If it gets too glossy, you lose some of that connection aspect, and that you've just got to remember now that's how you present yourself, and then what you actually say is going to balance things out. So if you have a really high fidelity, high production value asset, whether it's an image, a video, whatever it is, you better make sure that you're using words and emotions that are connecting type words and emotions so that people feel like you're not just some jerk with like a lot of money and a high budget, right? They want to feel connected to you. And the other thing too is that once you do the kind of lo-fi thing, you better have some high-end copy so that people know that you know your shit and you're an expert, because you don't want them to just think that you're their cousin's friend or whatever, that because that's what Skype reminds them of, or that's what, FaceTime, or, these kind of like, it's a selfie video kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like people do all these videos with selfie videos as an ad, and it's very intimate. Already you feel friendly with this person, but they better have some stellar things to say on there to elevate them, because we do have the problem of invisibility by familiarity, which basically is the reason why your parents won't listen to you about your health suggestions, or your family members are the hardest ones to treat because they think they know you, so you don't know anything. So that's just a kind of a tip there, is to balance that, right? If you want to go high end and get studio lighting and do all this stuff, like go for it, great. But make sure that you're relatable, to bring that part up. And if you just want to like get this thing out there, take a grainy picture of somebody with a needle sticking out of their leg or whatever your deal is, right? Make sure you have something authoritative to balance that out so people know you're not just a clown with a smartphone. All right. Thank you. That's it. Go ahead.
Yeah. And on that note, make sure you have written authorization from your patients for any actual treatment images, even if they're just, even if it's just, you're like, oh, hi, this is my patient, and look, he can walk now, or whatever. Whether it's a photo or a name or a case study, you've got to have written patient authorization. I have forms that you can use. Just I give them away for free if you need those. Whether it's a video, image, or even just their words, even just a written testimonial, you need to have that to use it in your marketing. And then, yeah, like Jeremy was saying, building an emotional connection is the number one thing, making a difference between people who are going to show up in your office and the people who aren't. And that goes from the very beginning. It goes from your ad copy to your images to the look and feel of your landing page, and how you follow up with them afterwards to come and, to get them to come and into you for treatment. So I guess in terms of other common things, it's really up to you whether you want to integrate your booking software into your landing page. I recommend it because people will use it, and it'll save you time chasing after people later to try to get them to come in for an appointment. But either way, even if you do have a booking integration in your landing page, you're still going to need to follow up with the people who didn't. And there's a lot of reasons they didn't. It's not just because, especially if you're dealing with people with chronic illness, there's so many ways you can lose them along the way. So, and what I tell people is really, until you have heard a clear no from somebody, like, oh, sorry, I was drunk. I just opted in for fun, and I don't even know who you are. I'm definitely not coming into you for treatment. Just keep calling. Assume you're doing them a favor. Okay. Assume you're doing them a favor by following up with them. You want to get to the point of a clear yes or a clear no. And again, on that call, if you're, making these calls to people who have submitted their contact information, when you call them, this is the first time they're hearing your voice. This is the most human interaction they've had with you so far. It's got to be good, okay? If someone calls you, and a colleague of mine was saying that she had a spa manager who was answering calls on her cell phone for the spa with these like hot leads coming in. She's just saying, hi, this is Trisha. And then complaining to my colleague that, people weren't coming in for, appointments or whatever. And that initial call, and, same goes for the emails and the texts as well. It's really important for you to develop an emotional connection with them. They've got to know that you see them, that you care about them as an individual, and that you're there to help them get through this.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly right.
yeah.
There's a lot of things about, and this other stuff I talk about a lot is mirroring and pacing and getting into the kind of empathic, empathic. I don't know. It's like sympathetic, right? Empathetic, neural connections, right, with people you're talking to. So a lot of times, if your patient base is chronic fatigue, for example, or depression or something like that, they're going to have a slower pace of brain function, right? They're just going to have their ability just due to inflammation or whatever it is that's happening behind the scenes. They're going to speak a little bit slower. They're going to have to take in information a little bit slower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the mistake I've made in the past is calling those people and starting and knowing what their condition was before I talked to them and starting the conversation on that slow kind of pace. That's actually a mistake. You want to still start out the conversation like happy and nice and like
Mm-hmm.
positive and all that. And you can, as soon as they're talking to you, you can then match them. But I wouldn't start out presupposing that because you want to at least give them a little pep right at that first,
Well,
7 seconds, right? That
yeah.
kind of thing. So I've tried all kinds of experiments. I've seen what works. I've definitely seen what doesn't work. And that's one of them is to, you talked about how you answer the phone. I think that's important. And the other thing is not just like what words you say, but what tonality. So if you're expecting somebody has kind of a slower rhythm and you start the conversation off that way, don't do that. Just start it off normal and happy and really bring your best self to those first few seconds, and then you can settle in and find the rhythm with them, and that'll work a lot better, a lot better.
Yeah, if you kind of feel like you're, if it's kind of new for you and you feel like it's kind of a shot in the dark, a little trick is to kind of gauge their energy and enthusiasm and just kick it up a notch,
Mm-hmm.
to get them, and that'll, because we know our neurons mirror each other, and that'll help move them to the next,
That's it.
kind of slowly shift them to the next.
That's
So
it. And yeah,
yeah,
on those calls, actually, people feel better for having talked to you if you do that right. They're already like, oh, this is, yeah, I think I'm gonna
that's
have a good day.
yeah,
I like this. I could get used to this. So
yeah.
that's important. All right, so we got that. So how you call them back, and or how you answer your phone. You don't say, "Hey, it's Trisha," unless they're
Right.
expecting Trisha. That's the thing. We've got to have consistency of messaging, right? Like if you're advertising, the acupuncture, whatever, Dragon Center, and that's what it says in the ad, that's what it says in the website, the landing page, everything, and then you answer it and you go, hey, this is Bill, right? They're going to be like, do I have the right number, right? But if you're advertising Bill the whole time, you're like, this is me, this is what I do, blah blah blah, then when you answer the phone and you say your name, that's not a bad thing. So don't get hung up on some detail like we're saying don't use your name. The point is use what's consistent for the messaging. And that's where these kind of campaigns tend to fall flat, is when there's a gap in the messaging, because people are expecting what they've been promised. Each stage you're making a small promise and they're making a small commitment saying, yeah, okay, I'll click the thing. Yeah, okay, I'll put my email in or I'll put my number in or whatever. And they want to see on the other side of that what they were expecting is what happens. And you can lose them with that too. So good point. Great point.
It's pretty safe to say, hey, this is Bill at Dragon Wellness, or to use your name. Always use your name, right? And the name of your practice. I would say that's always a safe bet. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's next?
What's next, Jeremy?
Well, we got, yeah, I guess that's marketing. So
Yeah.
let's talk about something that you and I have talked about before. And this is one of the things that actually stuck out about you with me, is that you have kind of prerequisites before you'll work with somebody, meaning what happens downstream is still your concern. Okay, so we have, for those of you that aren't totally dialed in with this world yet of the different components of a funnel and, attraction and, conversion and these kinds of things, there's a lot that has to happen. There's an anatomy and physiology to making somebody go from total stranger to paid client to happy and thrilled and sending testimonials and referrals. There's a lot of moving parts. And if you can get that stuff handled, you can make it very graceful and it should be very natural. If you're not good at it, it's going to be clunky, it's going to be messy, but you will get better at it as you practice this stuff and as you kind of iterate. With marketing people, like I said before, sometimes they get so fixated on one little number that they can't zoom out and see a system. And this is the trouble with people that are too specialized, which we talk about a lot, with our field, but anything really. If somebody's too specialized, they get myopic and they can't see. They have no peripheral, right? So what you don't want is somebody who's just got their head in like one or two numbers and just thinks that if they can just maximize that they're helping you, right? So you've got to understand there's downstream consequences, right? Like if I get flooded, if you send me 100 leads, right now I've got to call these people back, depending on what we got set up, right? Maybe they filled out applications, maybe we have some filtering, there's more advanced stuff. But just to keep it simple, like if you run ads for me and you come back with, okay, we just did ads yesterday, we've got 100 people that gave their phone number and want you to call them back to schedule their consult, you just fucked my clinic up, right? Because now I got to be on the phone calling 100 people, right? I've got to get 100 people coming in, and I've got to have the logistics. I've got to have the capacity. I got to be able to handle that without putting them on too much of a weight, like get them still while they're excited, interested. I've got to be able to take all that stuff. I've got to have the systems to handle that surge, right? But also, how many of them are actually qualified? How many of them even know what I do? How many of them have been educated to the way I work? How many of them are suitable for my price point? How many of them are good fits, right? So we have to take our quantities and also qualify them, right? And filter people. And a lot of times, really, I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of these marketing people have no clue about that. They're totally blind to the downstream consequences. They think if they can just hit the gas and I get a lot of leads, that I'm going to be happy and keep paying them every month to keep doing that. But really, we have to refine the leads and get them good. And then the other thing is that, downstream, I've got to be able to actually sell and convert good leads, right? So my skill set has to be there in terms of I have to have a good consultation, right? I've got to have a good treatment plan. I've got to have a reliable treatment plan. And I'm not going to get into all this because I've done it in other trainings like with you guys where we go really deep into this stuff to make sure all those pieces are there so that when you turn on ads, right, or you turn on marketing in whatever form, you're not going to break, right? As a practitioner, your system's not going to break. But what I like about when I was talking to you was you're like, listen, I don't want to run ads for people that don't already know, don't have these kind of foundational skills, right? Because you're thinking downstream. You're thinking, I don't want to flood you, and I don't want to send you a bunch of people that you don't even know how to handle yet, right? I don't want to do that. It's going to be bad in the long term. In the short term, you as a marketer could say like, yay, I did it. I sent you the 100 people, right? And you can put a thing on your Facebook and say, I sent 100 leads. Who's next? Blah, blah, blah. And you can kind of burn through practitioners that way. But what I got from you was that you wanted this long-term thinking where it was like, look, you've got to have these other skill sets in place before we even come anywhere near paid ads.
Yes. Yes, this is true. And, I think the only way you can really evaluate how good your marketer is or how good your marketing is working is if you already have your system dialed down. So you eliminate from the get-go that you're the problem. That way you'll have a lot more confidence when you hire a marketer. Yeah. And if you'd like, I can go into the kind of things that I look for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we're really picky about who we work with because we like our clients to be happy. We like to work with them for more than 30 days. So when I'm looking at a client and how their practice is running and whether I think they're ready for paid advertising, things I want to know are how many times does your average patient come in to see you? And this could be for whether it's for a specific treatment or condition that we're going to be targeting. But I want to know what's the norm for you. Are these people coming into you 10, 20, 30 times? I want to know if somebody comes into you for a consultation and you know that you can help them and you know that they can afford you, what is your conversion rate for those? Are you able to move everybody from consultation into treatment plan that you know you can help and who you know can afford your services? That's really important.
If you're not 100% on that, you got to really work that out. Because those are the two questions when somebody's coming in. They're like, can you help me? How can I pay for this? And if you're like, yes, and yes, you can, you're really shooting yourself if you've got people waving money at you and you don't make it clear that you can actually help them. Like that's a real problem.
Yeah. It's you. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's you, not me. Yeah.
It's not them, it's you.
Right.
So I'm just gonna be chiming in. You say your thing, ignore me if you have to, but I mean come on, like there's nobody to blame on that one.
Yeah, and no acupuncturist learns this stuff in acupuncture school, though, right? I mean, it's not taught. I
No.
mean, yeah. So you've got to, if you know, network with other providers and talk about how to do it, or hire someone to teach you. You know, take a course. I know Jeremy, you and I both work with practitioners on that kind of thing to help them, you know, get their numbers up so that they're ready for paid marketing.
It helps everybody.
What's that?
It helps everybody.
Yeah,
Really, that's that we're like we were talking about before, having the profession, you need to elevate the profession, right? And that's one of the ways is to get people that are on the ground to have their game so tight that people aren't leaving because they're confused.
right, right. And it's, you know, and also just, you know, yeah, so you can reach more people and so that you're not wasting your money. You really want to max out your, as long as they're worth your time, you want to max out your organic marketing opportunities, you know? Um, so if you are, you know, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, the things that probably aren't worth your time are like putting up flyers at the health food store, you know, sometimes giving talks can be helpful, you know, but what really matters is when someone comes to you that you know you can help. Are you booking them into a treatment plan? You
Hmm.
know, because that's going to be your job with any advertiser as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, okay. So we got two things. There's the back end where it's like you did your job. You sent qualified leads with a consistent messaging and stuff into my ecosystem, right? As a clinician,
Mhm.
and then I have to on the back end of that, I have to have the systems, the processes, the confidence, the skill set, all these things in place to give them transfer confidence to them that I know what I'm doing and all that. And we need to make sure all those foundational pieces are there, plus the delivery is good. But you dipped into organic marketing, so that's on the front end. So this is another piece, right?
Mhm.
And maybe you could just define organic marketing. I mean, people listening to this should know what this is, but just in case people aren't totally familiar with the difference between organic and paid, just a quick definition there, and then what forms of organic marketing you look at, how you evaluate whether somebody's done it, are they good at it, have they refined their message, all those kinds of things. Basically, like what's it take before somebody should even consider paying somebody to help them with their paid marketing?
Okay, well, so organic marketing is a fancy word for free marketing. So anything that you're doing where you're, you know, you're not paying for marketing, you're not paying to target leads. They're basically coming to you. So this could be your, you know, a lot of people they'll pay a social media manager and all that. I really don't recommend spending your money on that. You could be paying an advertiser about the same amount of money a month sometimes to actually be bringing people into your practice. Whereas a social media marketing is more just like, oh, posting an article about, you know, Moxie or, you know, this and that. And if there's no real way to track how
I
well it's
can't
going.
stand that shit.
Yeah, it's a waste
It's
of time, I think, and nobody's probably reading your posts
no,
anyways,
no.
unfortunately. Yeah. Things that are worth your time is making sure you have a good Google My Business rating because, I mean, for obvious reasons, because if someone Googles your business, that's what they're going to find. So make sure you've claimed your page. If you don't have any reviews on there yet, I mean, make sure it's all filled out. You know, your phone number, your address, website, all that stuff. If you don't have any reviews on there, or if you've got a bunch of great 5-star reviews and then one-star review or something, get more reviews on there to get your average up.
Hmm.
I worked with a client who had he was an awesome practitioner and I knew it in my bones that he was great. He had this 1-star review that brought his rating. It should have been a 5-star rating, but his rating was 1.8, I think, because of that one-star review. And so what we did for him was we sent out an email campaign to his entire patient list saying, leave us a review on Google. And guess what? In 2 weeks, his rating was 4.2 instead
Hmm.
of 1.8. So,
Yeah, that's quite a difference for somebody just scanning through a listing.
right.
And that's not, too. Don't be shy about telling them what rating you want. Like when I go around, I don't do this very often, but when I'm ready to add some more reviews, I tell my patients, I say, listen, if you want to send me a 5-star review, here's the link.
Mm-hmm.
Like with
Right.
those words, right? So that they're not thinking like, oh, should I do that? No, like it's a 5-star review. If it's not a 5-star review, we need to talk about that. Like whatever I did, I need to learn and grow and get better, right? So like if you have a 5-star review, put it on there. If you don't, then talk to me so I can learn. And that's
Right.
People are shy about that. Like, oh, could you leave me a review? Like, no, leave me a 5-star review. That's actually what you want. That's what you should be asking for. Don't be, again, this comes to a lot of stuff I harp on with, you got to value yourself to that point to where you can articulate your own value. And like, if you don't feel like you're a 5-star practitioner, then get the fuck out. Like, go figure out what you need to learn to
Yeah.
get there, right? And yeah, we all grow. Like, we're not all capped and stuff, but you need to have that kind of belief in yourself that you deserve a 5-star review, right? If that's not there, you got other problems besides your Google ranking.
Right. Yeah. I know, I recommend people would also just put a calendar reminder or have your administrative or front desk person do it to once a month. Check check yourself on Yelp, Google, check your reviews and see what they look like and see if anything needs attention because just one targeted email campaign can take care of any problems you have there. I mean,
Perfect.
yeah.
Most of them. Yelp sucks, though. I'll tell you that. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many 5-star reviews I have on Yelp that they never show anybody. I don't know. They want me to pay them for people to see that. So,
Oh, really?
oh yeah, they're horrible. They're snakes.
Well, the good thing about Yelp though is it's easier than in some other places to get a bad review taken down.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
By easier, you just mean you just have to pay them?
No,
I'm
I'm not
kidding.
referring to Jeremy. I mean, if it's I don't know, one of my clients, someone reviewed their practice by accident, and they meant to review some other,
Oh, man.
very good practice, and so I was like, we got to take care of this. And fortunately, in their review, they had given evidence that they reviewed the wrong place, but yeah. So and this kind of goes back to preparing digital assets for your marketing. Make a regular habit of asking patients to leave reviews, whether it's on Google or, or getting a video testimonial. If you've got some of those can be really great in your marketing. So I have a template actually that I give to people for when they're requesting a video testimonial to kind of help people, figure out what to say and how to say it to make it useful. But get in the habit of asking. Yeah, people that you've helped so much, or most will be more than happy to do it. So yeah.
All right, so that's kind of what you're looking at. When you say like organic, do you look at anybody's posts on Facebook and kind of evaluate how good they are at talking to their audience, or like see what kind of engagement they're getting, or are you doing anything like that in terms of your selection criteria for who you work with?
No, actually, I mean that's no, because if when we run Facebook ads, nobody's still going to look at that because they're going to go straight from the ad. They might stop and like go click on your name and like your page, but um, that people don't really care what you post on social media, So that's not really a factor in working with people. I think I don't like to encourage practitioners to like waste their time on social media. It's so addictive and horrible, and it's just there's ways to make technology work for you so you don't have to be sitting in front of the computer or your mobile phone all day getting radiated. So
Yeah, yeah. All
yeah,
right. So
yeah, I think yeah.
so what else should practitioners have already done themselves in the organic realm before they consider kind of making that jump to paid?
Well, here's kind of an in-between suggestion, which is database reactivation. So if whether you're offering a new service or you kind of maybe there's a lot of patients you haven't seen around in a while who you think you could be helping on an ongoing basis, it's great to just, send an email campaign out to those folks. And whether you've got a new offer or a special going on or whatever, just reach out and make sure you're staying top of mind with your existing patients. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Now, if somebody's looking to get into paid ads, right? What's like the minimum budget that they should be ready to lose if they're gonna make the jump? Like, I don't want people spending their last dollar on a Facebook ad, So where should we be? How do you know financially when somebody's ready, basically, and what should they be willing to invest and possibly not see again into the whole process? And also as a kind of corollary to that is like, what kind of timeline do you usually expect? I know on average, and of course this is a dated video, right? This may change in the future, but on average, what kind of timeline do you expect before people start to see an ROI? Like, how patient should they plan on being, and what kind of startup money should they be prepared to inject into the machine?
Great questions. So the clients I work with, I recommend a minimum ad spend of $1,000 the first month, and that's separate from my management fee. But the idea is you give Facebook enough to work with over the initial 3-day period so that they can make sure your ad is getting to the people who are most likely to come into you for treatment. So that's a huge mistake I see a lot of people making is they actually don't invest enough. And I personally will gladly take, this sounds wrong, but I will gladly take someone's last dollar because I guarantee results. I guarantee getting practitioners a return on their investment. So I have no qualms about taking their last penny from them, But you really want to make sure don't lowball yourself on the ad spend. Don't people say, oh, I only have $200 to do this with. No, if you only have $200, then you're not ready. Make sure you have at least $1,000 for the first month and at least that much to pay somebody who knows what they're doing for your marketing. And on top of that, it sort of depends how you have your treatment, and if you have packages set up for that. But to get a return on my clients see results within like the first 2 or 3, or usually actually the first day. They'll see people booking appointments and ready to come in for treatment. So, but the actual return on your investment can take longer. It can depend on your treatment fees, whether you sell packages so that people are paying upfront, you get a return on your investment much faster.
Right, sure.
Or whether you have a high ticket service that you offer. So it's sort of a case by case there. Something with while I'm on the topic of treatment fee, one thing that I see a lot is, and Jeremy, I don't know if you work with practitioners who do this, but they only want to offer a sliding scale. So they're like, oh, my treatment fee is $25 to $60 or something, and it's and I totally my first acupuncture experiences were in community acupuncture, and I definitely value the model and think that it's absolutely necessary. But what practitioners don't realize is they could be helping a whole lot more people by charging upwards of $100 a month and then having funds available for the people who need it the most. So, and you get, a faster return on your investment that way, and you can start helping those people sooner if you do that.
Right. Yeah, there's different ways to kind of do your altruism. And having a sliding scale does make the math really hard in terms of predicting what's going to come in if you're getting, and I think that's kind of what you're getting at is like you don't have it's sliding, right? It's a moving target. So it's really hard to pin. It's one more big variable. And yeah, I mean, there are lots of ways to do pay it forward systems. Some practitioners really like the sliding scale model, which I get, and there's different. I mean, I did it. I did it for a while. I gave it a long while, and it wasn't for me. But I know that there are some people who have made a long career out of that, and they love it. I would say for that, just assume you're going to get the minimum that you're asking for, just to make the math conservative, right? And then just consider whatever they pay above. If it's $20 to $60, just assume everybody's a $20 client, and whatever extra on top is like a nice bonus, so that you're not anticipating these kind of windfalls that aren't coming in because of the nature of your, sliding scale.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or if you can kind of segment it so that you've got your regular fee is, $120 or whatever. Then you've got a community night on Thursday where it's, pay what you can. There's so many different ways to do it where you can take care of yourself and serve all the patients that you're able to without causing yourself burnout.
Yeah. And this is beyond the scope of this interview even, but there's another way to do it too, is just have a buddy. Like you don't have to do everything in house. Like especially if you live in a city and you've got a colleague that runs a sliding scale clinic, right? And you're charging more, like, upwards of 100 or whatever more per session, or you're doing, higher ticket and stuff, which is all the things that I'm kind of working on, teaching people how to do, is really implement this stuff and get it so that it's, dialed in. But if you're doing that, then you can afford to refer people to the other clinic. You can feed them.
Right.
The patients that are better fits, and you don't need anything back. You don't need reciprocity. You don't need kickbacks. You don't need anything. So instead of even having this kind of mixed thing where your focus is split and every Thursday you've got people coming in, which is it's a model that, I've tried, other people try, and it turns into kind of a cluster because you're serving these two very different demographics with very different needs, different motivations in terms of pain and pleasure, different types of language patterns, different lifestyles, different schedules. They refer differently. Like everything's different. You're running two clinics at once, and one of them is just like out of the good of your heart. Well, it's okay, right, to say like, listen, Jeff down the street or Jenna or whoever has this community clinic, and that's all they do. They focus on that. And that's my big thing with acupuncture is pick one thing. Stop trying to do everything, right? Stop it. Pick one thing. So yeah, she's doing this clinic. That's her one thing. She's killing it, right? Everybody that's a good fit for her, I send. They
That's great.
go,
Perfect.
right? And you can afford to do that because you're charging like, regular premium rates or whatever, and you're doing packages and you've got your systems dialed into a different level. You can afford your ad spend, you're making money, and you can kind of send people appropriately where they go. And you know that during a consultation, right?
Yeah.
Somebody says, well, how much is it? And you're showing them how much, and they're like, oh my God, I can't do this. They're like, can you help me? Yes, acupuncture can help you, herbs can help you, whatever. This will change your life. Can I afford it? No. You know what? The same thing is being offered over here in a group setting. The only difference is there's no walls. So
Mhm.
here you go, right? That's another way to solve this problem is just think outside your own clinic and you can still feel really good. Like you can still get the dopamine and feel like a good citizen. And, I'm serious. Like I feel that way when somebody comes in and I say, listen, I'm the most expensive acupuncturist in my area. If
Mhm.
I can help you, of course, I know what I'm doing with these kinds of cases. Yes. Right. But if that's not in your budget and it's not realistic, like let's not try to force it. I can give you four different names of other people who charge 2/3 of what I charge that are within a reasonable drive.
Right.
Like take those, right? Go. And I feel good. I'm like, yeah, there's a satisfying feeling when you put the square peg in the square hole. Nothing changed since we were little kids with the little shape toys, with the triangle hole and the triangle thing and the circle. That still feels good in our brains.
Right.
Nothing's changed. So
Right. And the most important thing is everybody's getting their needs met, you know?
that's it. So like
Yeah.
a lot of acupuncture, a lot of people in general, but acupuncturists specifically, for some reason, want to do everything and own everything at the same time and feel like they're giving while they're trying to control it all. And it's fucking nuts. It'll drive you crazy. I know it. I've been in this trap, right? If you're doing community acupuncture and that's your thing, do it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying know what your thing is. Right?
Right.
Just know what's your thing and just dial in on that.
Right. And know what to expect. Like, do you have student loans to pay back? Be honest with yourself about your goals too. Are you hoping one day to be able to buy land and build a house for your family to live in, and
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, some of the community clinics can make a lot of money. It's just a volume thing. It's not like you're broke at the end of the day. It's just you just need to have that volume. And it can
right,
be very location dependent. If you're in a small town, um, you might get that volume, you might not. I mean, you got to be really kind of careful about that. But like where it was invented, or patented or whatever in Portland, where you've got, high population density of like all blue collar people, which is, I'm not saying anything wrong, but like they're in that kind of income range. And that was
mhm,
the whole, and anybody, this isn't, I'm not making this up. Anybody can go look at, Lisa Rohleder's work and all this stuff, which I did back when it came out. And she just looked at her demographics and what they could feasibly afford. And there was such a high concentration of them in one place that she could open up. And I think they have more than one clinic now. I'm not sure, but it's like they've got the volume.
yeah,
So that's another trap too. Like if you live in a very high scale neighborhood and there's not a lot of population, don't try to open a community clinic because you actually need fewer patients with more money just given your demographics. Like don't be an idealist, because that's going to make marketing harder, right? So this stuff all feeds together. Your business plan needs to make sense for your area.
right,
Otherwise, the messaging's
totally,
inconsistent. You go to hire somebody like this, and you're going to be putting this message out there looking for one kind of person. There's none of them around. You got to know your
right.
environment. So, can we talk a little bit because everybody's making the switch now to online clinics, digital clinics, virtual clinics, right? And yeah, we're all freaked out about the pandemic and stuff. Um,
Right.
how do you look at marketing? Because that's almost one model. Like, okay, I'm going to market for acupuncture services, right? And you can market that to get people in the door of a clinic for acupuncture. So what's different when we start to look at the virtual, herbal consults, qigong, lifestyle, nutrition, whatever it is? Even if you want to look at kind of how some of this overlaps into what functional medicine practitioners are doing, that kind of thing. What differences do you see in terms of how to approach the situation based on, or is there a difference?
Sure. I need to grab my laptop charger real quick. Okay. So sorry, you're gonna have to
Yep.
edit that.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm just going to go on a rant while you're gone.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
We live? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's really it's the same in a lot of ways. I mean, there's you're still going to have to define your ideal market, you know? So are you going to you want to get dialed in on who exactly you're serving like you would with any campaign, right? And with any business. You want to know who your market is. So you really go through the same steps either way. Of course, you're going to want to, if you're running ads, you're going to want to emphasize the, you know, telemedicine. You say, oh, we have it's secure. It's emphasize that it's convenient. I mean, sell it a little bit if you think you have to. I mean, um, but in terms of yeah, no, it's not really different. I mean, it's different in terms of your geographic marketing is going to be different. Your geographic targeting is going to be different, right? But um, yeah.
So when the reason I'm asking is like if you look at a AdWords, which might not be your specialty, right? But if you're looking at AdWords campaign, you're looking for keywords people are using, like acupuncture near me or whatever. They're already kind of solution focused, right? And
Right.
so you could go after the kind of broader market of people typing in like knee pain relief,
Hmm.
or you could go after people already looking for acupuncture and
Right.
then send them into your world that way. Um, I'm not sure, right? Like acupuncture is gaining in popularity. You have a cat there?
My dog. She's here. Yeah. She's shy.
Acupuncture is gaining in popularity, but like I don't know how many people are typing in like online herbal consult for me, or like distance qigong lesson or something like that. Like
Right.
these keywords, I should look this up to get an accurate thing, but it just strikes me that I don't think there's any way that they're as popular as people already looking for acupuncture. So you have to kind of train people on what the solution is actually going to look like, right? You'll meet somebody where they are with their problem, and then guide them to a online consultation with an herbalist or something like that.
Right. So yeah, Google AdWords isn't really. I mean, I outsource that. It's not my strength. So
That's
uh,
fine.
yeah, for the great thing about social media advertising is the algorithm does so much of the work for you. So if you are running an ad, let's say you've got yourself, looking like you do right now, Jeremy, with the headset on, and you're smiling, and the ad copy says something like, "Hey, I'm here to help you with with your online qigong needs or whatever." Facebook is already going to find the people who want to see that, almost regardless of what you're targeting is
Hmm.
for that. So um, initially, you may need to do a little bit of a branding or awareness campaign just to get people warmed up to the idea if they're totally new to it.
Hmm.
But um, in the current day and age, I don't see that being like a huge expense because people already know at this point. You
Hmm.
know, yeah,
So
those are
the difference between advertising, doing paid marketing for a brick and mortar clinic and doing it for a virtual clinic is kind of negligible. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's so much simpler in a way because yeah, I mean, your overhead is smaller and there's so much is simpler for you to get a faster return on your investment.
All right,
Yeah.
gotcha. Do you have anything else? I think that's all the questions I really had for you on this. I want people to get a clear sense that there's a whole system happening. It's not just like most of these acupuncturists think if they just got more new patients, everything would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case. Like we have to look at all the different factors down the line. And your specialty being getting you more new patients or more leads that can become new patients. I think it fills in that gap, but that's, you know, the other gaps can't really be there, and that's a prerequisite for throwing money at this thing. What was
That's
it
it.
you said to me about cranking up a fire or something?
Oh, I said, well, paid advertising is like, um, what's I say? Now I'm trying to remember.
Throwing
Adding
fuel on the fire or something?
to a fire. Yeah, yeah. Right. Right. It's gonna make whatever it's gonna magnify whatever you have going on, and it will absolutely. I mean, that could be a good thing. It could reveal to you whatever weaknesses you have in your systems and in your business, because it's going to be crystal clear where the drop off is
Hmm.
in in converting a stranger to a paying client.
Yeah. So if you've already got a good fire, if you've got good
Yeah.
logs and stuff, it's
Right.
fine. It's going to be great. But if you've got a bunch of trash and garbage in there, it's just going to make it stink like burning plastic and diapers.
Right. Right. Like, I mean, the first most obvious thing is make sure that your practice is actually profitable before you are running ads. It's paid advertising can't rescue a failing business.
Yeah,
So,
that's big.
yeah.
All right. So how would you look at those? Some of these online practices are basically brand new, right? Even if we have a seasoned practitioner, 5, 10, 20 years they've been in practice, putting needles, but now it's a little bit different skill set for doing online consultations, relying more on herbs and these kinds of things. So even if somebody's kind of starting a new business, but they feel good on their systems, they'd still be okay to do some paid advertising.
Yeah, if they have a proven business model,
Okay.
right? So, for somebody who is like, if you've had a brick and mortar practice and you're moving to online, the most obvious thing to do first is reach out to your current patient list and let them know you're available, doing telehealth, right? And if you're brand new to it, I guess I don't really know any licensed acupuncturists who've never practiced before and are going online. I think that would be
Hmm.
um, that's probably going to be kind of a rare situation. So,
Yeah. I'm anticipating a big flood with this COVID thing. Everybody's trying to go online. I mean, everybody, even I was just talking to a friend and he was like, I miss going to my Krav Maga class, and
mm-hmm.
I said, well, don't they have an online version of it? Because everybody seems to be onlining everything right now. And he said, yeah, but it sucks. I mean, you're just going to be shadow boxing in front of your computer. Like, that's not any fun, right? Like, even all these businesses are trying to do it. So, I mean, acupuncturists too, like, everybody all of a sudden is like, I'm online. And once everybody goes online, we're all in each other's backyards.
Yeah, but I I actually think right now is a great time to establish yourself in the market, because I've heard a lot of practitioners, holistic practitioners, announcing that they're moving online, but I haven't seen any running paid advertising.
Yep. So that's the
Yeah.
thing. You got to have something to differentiate yourself, because otherwise, there's just this kind of swarm of people who are all well intentioned, but just kind of there, you know.
Yeah, I think that um, even just being an early adopter can really make the difference for somebody, because yeah, you people have a huge opportunity now to make a name for themselves in the market. So yeah, I guess that would be my last piece of advice: is don't wait, act now.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I agree. The best
yeah,
time to do this was 5 years ago.
right,
Second best is right now.
right, for sure.